right, this is the Committee on Government Operations, Public Safety, Public Service. This is Monday, August 8, 2016. We're at 6 p.m. I have Councilor Frank Capone.
Here.
I have Councilor Richard Delasola.
Here.
We have 2 members present. We do not have a quorum.
2 members present. We do not have a quorum. So what that means is we cannot do any official business. We can't make any recommendations out of this body, but a fair amount of residents have come up here to talk about this issue, and we have some individuals from the city that are here. So if everyone is agreeable, we can informally discuss the topic and find out what, if anything, can be done. But this body's not going to be able to make a formal motion recommendation. However, everyone's here. I think it would be well worth it to speak on the topic. So on this, okay. Oh, and one of the members, the chairman, Council McKinnon, called. He could not make it, unfortunately. So we have Councilman Peter Napolitano in the audience. Council, why don't you join us here in the chamber? And the piece that was going to be spoken on was talking about complaints of rodents around Florence Street Park. So wherever you're more comfortable with, if you want to come inside, because I'm sure the residents are going to come up and want to speak. But so, Council, why don't you go ahead and address what it was that what you're looking to do here?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the residents for coming up here. It was brought to my attention a couple of weeks ago that with the continued watering of the trees in Florence Street Park, the fact that the work is taking as long as it is, that the residents are finding rodents in their homes, both mice, both rats. You know, there's been a few people who have talked to me who've said that they've had to hire exterminators to come in and address this. And this problem did not just hasn't been going on for a while. This is something that's happened as the work has continued to get dragged on and on. So rather than me speak, I mean, I'm glad the residents are here, and to let them know there are representatives from City Hall here who are directly responsible with the park, a representative from the mayor's office, from community development, and I believe there'll be someone here from code enforcement. Hopefully they can, we can find a solution to alleviate some of the issues that are going on down there. But having said that, I would like to ask if you could ask the residents to come up and maybe tell firsthand what they're dealing with.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilor. If anybody from the audience would like to come forward and just state what you're experiencing or what's happening down there, we'd be more than happy to listen to you. So if you'd like to, come on right up where the desk is right there. There are 2 microphones. Council, could you put the one on the left on so that, is it on already? If you would, please, if you just state your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
My name is Lisa Pastore. My mother's owned the home on the corner of Florence and Chelsea for over 40 years. And recently, within the past few months, we've had not only one, a really large amount of rodents coming in through the yard and up on the floors. I cannot have cats in the house because I have food, I have not only airborne but food allergies and allergies to cats and whatever. And so the house is fairly clean, and so I don't believe that it's anything that we're doing as individuals. And I recently had to get an exterminator because it got to the point where it was just too much. They went around the outside of the house. He said the outside was fine, but they were coming in through. They had to close up some cracks, and they may have to come back again just to recheck if the continuance, if they continually come. But it's just been too much now.
How long have you been experiencing that?
Well, it's gotten worse over the past few months. And, living in that area where you'll get one here and there, you'll get field mice because you have a park, you'll deal with it, but not to the point now where I've had to call somebody to take care of the problem.
Okay. Very good. And if anyone has any questions, by all means.
For all the residents out there, is everybody saving the bills and the receipt from the exterminator in case the city could do something about this?
Well, I just
reimburse you?
recently went to the clerk's office.
Okay.
I went up and spoke to somebody there because if they have to continuously come back, I don't believe that. I don't mind here and there taking care of something, but if it's something that we're going to continuously keep open and keep watering stuff, and I'm going to keep getting them, and I have to keep maintaining them. I believe that, and I don't think any unreasonable person would sit in my shoes and have to do the same thing. I don't think they should. I don't know if the city can come by and also bait. I don't know if that's something that would be cost efficient for the city to do, rather than coming to each individual's home. I mean, I can tell you what I paid, but, you know, if you have to do that to every single person, you're gonna have a large bill,
Yeah.
whereas if you could just, you
I-
know, but that's.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. Hold on to the paperwork for now, and I think what we need to do is get the contractor back involved and do some stuff so that the neighborhood isn't overrun with all this. The project's gone on for too long anyway, and Mr. Sousa in the audience, he knows, I've talked to him about this several times. This project's gone on too long. Kids have gone through a whole summer without a park. This was supposed to be done a long time ago. So we share your frustration. Do appreciate you coming up here and letting us know.
All right, well, I appreciate your time, and I thank you, everybody.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the neighborhood who would like to come up and speak about what they're experiencing? I think we have a general sense of what's happening, so if you're shy, you don't have to come up, but if you want to come up, you're more than welcome to. Okay. Seeing none, if you could, just name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Lisa Morgan, and I live at 48 Florence Street. And I've owned the house over 25 years, closer to 30. And I have 2 cats. And recently they've caught 2. What I'm concerned about is what I don't know what's down in the basement.
Mhm.
You know, I know that we've got some leaks, so I know that there's cracks in the foundation and we're trying to fix them. But I'm concerned about the cold weather coming.
Oh, yeah.
And they're gonna start running. I mean, just all the digging alone they're doing in this area. It's just not, I came because, yeah, they caught them and I took care of the problem, but I'm real concerned what's gonna happen over
Sure.
the winter, so.
Okay.
You know, they're talking about putting all these hotels up, and I work on Vine Street, and they're running down there like every day you come in and you gotta clean off the desks. They're running,
Oh, boy.
it's all over the place.
Oh.
But I don't know. The other thing was, not only is the park done, but I heard, well, there's rumors that they might have ran out of money, that's what's prolonging it.
That's come up a few times from the chair. It's been my experience. I've been told that that's not the case, because that has been something that's been brought to
The
me.
bad winter we had previous, and they took care of the baseball field,
Mhm.
which I don't even think the kids played any games there.
Yeah. I don't
Is the
recall
baseball
any.
field open for,
Yeah, it's open, yeah.
they didn't really play, and they only play a few games anyways a year, but
Yeah.
they
I think
didn't,
Pope-
did you see a lot of baseball games over
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, I didn't see many.
In this
I thought
I don't
Pope,
have
I
young
thought Pope
children,
John
so I
played
don't
there.
know
I
Isn't that
think,
Pope John's home field
yeah, I think they used it.
if Pope John has a
team?
team.
Yeah.
But not like previous summers.
Yeah.
And the thing is the baseball park's closed because the bottom part's not
Yeah.
open, so the whole park is closed.
Park is closed. And to your point with the weather, it's well taken, because this is the time of year when rodents don't try to get in your house because the weather is warm.
Right.
So we get to the cold weather, we're still having issues. But, you know, we'll do what we can to address it. I think it's gonna come down to speaking with the contractor. The good news to the residents, a little late unfortunately for this one, but we do have an ordinance that's being enrolled and ordained on the books that's gonna address any kind of any kind of earth moving. When there's any development going on, if there's any earth movement going on, the contractor is going to be required to do all kinds of bait assessments, all kinds of stuff. So that'll help as we go forward with the hotels. But for what we have going on right here, I think we need to speak with the contractor and have them come
Are
down
they still
and try to
gonna do
address
the
it.
sidewalks too? Is it gonna be a one-way,
They would,
like
So-
going up? I mean,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to put in sidewalks, and that's gonna create more digging.
Yeah. Hmm.
They're in the ground, and they're in the grassy area.
Yeah. And when you
Which
start,
is that whole park, because
yeah, when you
in the
start,
years past,
I think they'll give us the answer.
they have come, and I work full-time, but I don't think the grass has kept up this year like they have, you know, I don't know. So
Okay.
that's gonna be another whole
Okay.
thing, because they're in the ground over there. If they have to rip up to make it a one-way
okay.
to make a
Yeah.
sidewalk,
Good. Well, the good news is we have someone from community development here, so he'll be able to address those concerns. But as far as grass not being kept up, things of that nature, we've got the chief of staff from the mayor's office, so we'll make sure that they're aware of those issues. And I share your concern. We got to get this thing taken care of now before we get to the cold
Well,
weather.
they kept the top of it where the garden is, which I think is very nice for the people that don't have backyards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm all for it. And they can park anywhere they want, but,
Yep.
I don't know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else from the audience that would like to speak? Sure. If you would, please, just your name and address, please.
Steve Sacco, I live at 12 Florence, right across from the park. Yeah, I got the issues with the mice, but there's another issue. They play basketball in there, 2 o'clock in the morning. They have an officer that comes down there about maybe 9 o'clock. That's it.
And that's it?
That's it. It's like, it's insane. People trying to get up, sleep to go to work, it's insane. They come one time, and that's the end of the ballgame. And they're
How-
there all night, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys, 1, 2, 3 o'clock at night.
How frequently does that happen?
Every night,
Wow.
every single night. The one officer comes once, he throws them out, they come back, and
Okay.
that's it. They show up one time. I mean, it's everything. I mean, to make the circle is what, about 10 minutes out of their time?
Sure.
Nobody shows up.
Okay.
The mice are everywhere. The street is insane. You see, you people don't live there. 4, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, looks like an international highway up there. People flying up and down. There's nobody there. There's no lights to slow the people down. It's a bad area, very bad. No one's ever done anything about it. I've been there for 50 years. It gets worse. You can't even park your car in front of your own house. There's cars from all over.
Okay.
The parking situation's terrible. The whole what they're doing in that park, you could have built a 5-star hotel in 2 years. It's insane. And they're not only that, it's not even attractive. If it was left the way it was and they just came in there and trimmed the trees way down, made them look like mushrooms, changed a few things in there, you'd have a social place to stay.
Yeah.
It's like being in the desert.
Yeah.
It has all the beauty's totally gone. It's nothing there. It's just like being, you got a few trees that'll take 25 years to grow, a couple of trapeze, and then another thing, to waste all that money for 3 or 4 months out of a year. This isn't Florida, California. Who the hell's gonna be there after September? Nobody. It's a total waste of dough.
Yeah.
The only thing they did was they fenced off the area where the guys play basketball. That's okay for them. But the rest of the area doesn't make any sense at all. What are you gonna do? When kids go back to school, the snow comes, nobody's gonna be there. So they spend all the kinds of money in 2 years, and it looks worse than it did before it started. You chopped down some beautiful trees, you should've just trimmed them way, way down, changed the swings, a few things like that. The ambiance would have been there, it would have saved a lot of money, and the people could have used the park. And it's a mess. Like I said, you guys don't live there. You come there, sit there for 1 week between 5 and 6 o'clock. Kids flying up the street, cars gassing it up there. There's no cops around, no one catches anybody. They're doing drug deals over there. I see them because I'm right across the street, buying pot from different people. They pull up. I see it all the time. I don't say anything. I mean, what am I gonna do? I get to interfere, I'd probably have a problem with them, because I opened my mouth and said something to someone. More crap goes on down there. They throw everything everywhere. Doesn't matter, cleaning the street on a Wednesday. It's, they throw plastic bottles everywhere, McDonald's stuff is all, I pick it up because I live there. If I didn't live there, I wouldn't. It would look like Harlem over there if you didn't. The area's horrible. There's no other way to put it. I don't know if anybody's ever gonna do anything. You know, me speaking here, might as well talk to the wall, because.
No,
last-
yeah,
last
I hear you, and I
I'll tell
appreciate
that.
that. You've got people in the room here that do
Well, I'll tell
care,
you
so
why.
I'm
The
glad that
last
you
time-
have.
The last time we came here, this was about, I'd say anywhere between 3 and maybe 3 years ago. We wanted to change it for one way, have the people drive all the way down at the end of the street on on Chelsea Street, and there's a little intersection there, have them take a left there and come down. But they left it that way for 1 week. They changed the sign, made it a one-way. I don't know who changed it, they turned it back the other way, and it's insane. I'll tell you, the only way someone's gonna do anything around here is someone gets killed. When someone gets killed, that's when all of a sudden they'll change the lights, they'll change the signs, they'll put up something. They should even have one of those 4-way lights that just blink or something to slow people down. is they come around that corner, and I tell you, they gun it up the hill all the time. This is every single day. This has been doing this for over 50 years.
Yeah,
40
it's,
years we've been doing
it sounds like there's a lot going on there. So before you leave, if you could leave your phone number, we'll make sure that we get all these things addressed.
Well, I hate to come up here and say these things, but.
No, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, but you gentlemen don't live there, you see, and I mean,
But we live in the city.
yeah, no.
And we
you know,
care, so,
yeah, I understand, and there is actually, I'll tell you, there's a gentleman that bought the store there on the corner across the street. It used to be Sam Spa years ago. He bought it, and they were up at, 1, 2, 3, like the fifth house up. They moved out, I think, a year, 2 years ago, because they couldn't stay anymore. They moved to Medford. They sold the house to somebody else. Some people purchased it maybe about a year ago. But they moved out because of the noise, the automobiles, the kids in the park. No one come. They come once. They'll show up maybe.
well,
9.
we can address that. We'll address that with the police chief.
Yeah, I mean, people gotta work. These guys are over there last night they were there till, I'd say at least 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Half a dozen of them, yelling, screaming, and that's our side. What about the other side
Hmm.
as well, the other street? I don't even know what the name of the street is, but that's basically all I got to say. I don't wanna
Okay.
complain to you guys.
No, thank you. No, we appreciate it. Thank you.
It is there, that's all,
Thank you, I appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the audience who would like to speak? And if you would, sir, please, your name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Dominic Forgione. I live in 56. All right, I've been there 42 years. Ain't never been like this. Now, we're talking about even the street, when they did the street, okay? They left those poles. We're talking about Southwark. Why you want to put a Southwark neighbor? Move the pole against the fence. When the people coming up, you have to stop. A lot of people avoid Ferry Street. They come up Florence Street and they go all the way down to the skating rink. Especially people go through Riviera. All right. It's a mess, number one. Number two, you have a sign in there, no parking there. I don't care if it's a game, I don't care what it is. Why you put the sign in there? Take the sign off and the people park. You know what I mean? You make it a one-way, it's even worse. No matter which way you do, you're wrong. They should move those poles against the fence. They left the pole in there, you have to stop, because people coming up, the car is parked on the other side. They were talking about make it two-way. You make that one-way, even street is one-way. It's 3 streets going down, if you make that one-way go down. If you leave it the way it is, coming up, you got the same trouble with the traffic, because they shoot straight across all the way down to Nicholas Street. They take a left on Nicholas Street, and they take the first right, and you're in the skating rink. People go through the Riviera. All right? Number one. Number two, whoever did the South Walk in there, on the other side, the first year was a crack. You remember that?
Yeah, we got that whole repair.
What repair?
No, that's the problem, it's too thin.
Yeah, but who's paying now to fix the South Walk? If you have to fix, the taxpayer has to pay for that. But if you call the contract, it did the job. You had so much time as the job is warranty. Have a fix,
It's 1 year. We had that issue last year.
huh?
We had that issue last year on a
But
couple of
this-
streets in Everett,
But
and the
this,
contract is only warranted
but
for
this,
1
this,
year.
this was, they finished the street. Before the winter came, the concrete crack, okay? You know what they did? I complained. It's right on the front of my house. It goes almost to the next lot. You can see whoever planted that tree, they cut the root instead of dig the hole deep enough. They cut the root.
Only because I worked on that. The problem, what happened with there was no contractor. That was done by city employees.
Oh,
Okay, and
No,
then.
no, no, it was a contract.
No, I know, we're talking 5 years ago, I remember, because I did get pieces repaired. The problem was the cement was what they put in was watered down. There was no foundation underneath it, so it was cracking, you know.
Whatever it is, it's correct.
It's got to be fixed, right.
Whatever it is, it need to be fixed, okay? Now, I talked to somebody, I don't remember his name, he says, well, you gotta wait a little while, the cracker gets big, then we could do something. 2 months later, in the spring, they sent somebody with a can of hydraulic cement. They make it like a milk, it fills that crack. 2 weeks later, it's gone. I mean, if you have somebody do the work in your house, I don't think you pay them until you see the job done the way it's supposed to be.
I understand how you feel, because my colleagues will attest to this. I've been trying to get my own sidewalks repaired for 4 years. My sidewalks were done 4 years ago, and I have a 13-foot-long crack in front of my house. And even though we've brought representatives up here to get it done, I still have the cracks. Now, I understand your frustration there, and I don't have an answer for that because they don't appear to be fixing anybody's cracked sidewalks.
But you know what happened when they made it a little garden, whatever you call over there? Community for people to get tomato or pepper and all of that.
Yeah, the garden.
It was an open, it was the mayor, it was, couple other guy was there, and the mayor told somebody, I don't mention his name because I don't remember. He said, you go check there and make a note. Why are you doing that, to fool people? Why? Just say, look, it is what it is, leave it alone, and that's it. You know what I mean? The same thing the models. We never had no trouble. They did the park about 20 to 25 years ago. We had the same trouble. But it don't last too long because the park, it was done quick. They dig, they repaired, they did what they had to do, and they went away.
Yeah.
This year, I'm almost 2 years now, all right?
Yeah. It's a long time.
No,
Thank
we
you.
agree.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Is there anyone else from the audience who'd like to speak? If you would, please, if you could just give your name and address for the record?
Leah Pastore, 246 Chelsea Street. So, I've been there 26 years. That park had nothing. It didn't have to be cleaned. Like, you had, I don't know what you guys are trying to build here, but it's not like the Ritz-Carlton. We live in Everett. Like, come on. And second off, you're digging up dirt that are going in families' houses and rats. For 26 years, my family's been there for 40 years. They have rats. And we're clean people. That's disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
That's gross. My cat picked up a rat and put it on the side of my bed on the 3rd floor. I live on the 3rd floor, and I'm getting rats from that park. It's gross. Never in my life, I'm 26 years old, never had a rat. Always had a cat because prevented. This year just got a rat because of that park. That park was fine. You had the lunches, you had the sprinkler for the kids, you had a nice little park. You guys could have like maybe put a fence around like for the little kids and this and that. You got, just because you got a hotel coming in doesn't mean you gotta destroy everything else. I don't know where you coming from because you guys sitting here in suit and tie. You gotta think about the residents.
Yep, sure.
No, we're from the neighborhoods.
I
Yeah.
understand that.
This is our neighborhood,
I
too.
understand
Yep.
that.
Both
but
myself
for me
and-
growing up in
Yeah.
that park,
Both-
I look at that park, it's trash.
Yeah.
Cause that money, it's, what are you guys showing up for?
Yeah, we're, the
What are
thing
you guys
is,
showing up for, really?
Yeah, and I think, I get what you're saying, and
What
it's,
kids are gonna go in
yeah,
that park and sit
yeah.
and play? There's all concrete. I walked
Yeah.
my dog today. There's all concrete.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
kid's gonna fall.
yeah, I think the problem is that the project's taken way too long. That's the
It's
problem.
way too long.
Yeah, so
You got
once
rats, you
that
got
park is put
complaints.
together, I do think that people
It's
will enjoy it more,
disgusting.
but I totally get what you're saying. Believe me,
It's
we share your
gross.
frustration, so,
Like, you know what I mean? My own dog won't even go in that park. That's, ugh.
okay. Well, thank you, I appreciate you coming up and saying how you feel. Does anybody else want to say anything? And if not, we'll bring the department heads forward. Is there anyone else who wants to speak? Come on up. If you could, name and address, please, for the record.
My name is Svetlana. I live on 24 Florence Street. So 4 years ago, when I saw a beautiful house and park in front of it, I was so excited to buy that house, you know, for my daughter to play. And sadly, after that construction, you know, you see that disaster that's happening now. I know why it's taking so long. That's one point. And another one, I don't know if there's any way to kind of restrict entrance into this park after 9, as it's supposed to be, because it's really, especially in these hot summer days, it's not possible even to open the window and let the fresh air in because of the terrible noise.
Okay.
People playing basketball day and night. I mean, day they kind of can
Sure.
do that, but at night time.
At some point, you got to stop.
Yeah, it's at 12, at 4, and we have
Wow.
to go to work,
Wow.
make
Okay.
money and pay taxes to Everett, so. And actually, if you even talk to maybe police department, because we always call when it goes like too bad, you know, people besides just playing, they screaming there. And after even police, they come here, they kick guys out, but they come back at
They come
like
back after.
an
Okay.
hour or two.
Yeah.
And I guess that would be like the worst issue that we have with that park from our side.
Okay. Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak? Anyone else? If not, we'll bring the department heads up before us. Kevin O'Donnell from Chief of Staff of the Mayor's Office, Tony Souza, Community Development, if you gentlemen wouldn't mind coming in here. Well, you've heard, Kevin, I don't think there's really much you to say. It's the contract that's really holding things up, I think. Is that accurate?
Yeah, but it also, it's oftentimes in projects like that, and Tony Souza could probably speak more directly to it, but for instance, we had, in trying to hook up the water main, you run into some issues that caused delay, and there was also some sort of issues with the electrical feed, and where, I guess more power was needed, and.
Yes.
And so that kind of set us back a little. But it is a big concern because it has gone on quite some time, more time than any of us would have liked.
Sure.
But we have been communicating with the contractor on a regular basis, and I personally live not too far from there as well, so I do make it a point to go by on a pretty much a daily basis, and I'm pleased to say that we have seen activity and crews there just about every day for the last couple of weeks, so we are making progress. I mean, we certainly all wish it was done well before now, but we do know that it will be completed sooner rather than later at this point. And in addition, we do recognize that the rodent problem is becoming a very serious issue, and I've had preliminary discussions as recently as last Thursday with ISD, and we have to find measures possibly above and beyond the ordinances, which I think are fantastic, but measures to abate those issues. That'd be a concern for anybody. I've been taking notes with all the talking points that everyone's been speaking on, and we do take all of these matters seriously, and I just want to ensure the folks behind us that we are paying attention and we will address these issues, and that's how we fix the problems. When they brought to our attention, we know and recognize and understand them. That's how we move forward in fixing them. With respect to the curfew, the 9 o'clock, and getting people out of the parks, we certainly will all have that discussion, because I know that's an issue. Everyone's hardworking, and you need the rest, and that's, it's only fair and right that, these people, that our curfew ordinances are recognized and enforced.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Mr. Souza, you've heard what everyone has said. This council has addressed this issue with the completion of this project multiple times. I bother you almost every other week. Originally it was going to be done a certain time. It's been postponing. Where are we at? What are we looking at for a time frame? Because we've gone beyond the children in the neighborhood not being able to use the park, which was the biggest concern for the longest time, to now we have the situation with rodents getting into people's houses. That's clearly unacceptable. I know all of us agree that that's unacceptable. Where are we at with regards to completing this project?
So the project itself should be wrapping up in the next few weeks. What we'll be seeing this week is they will be finishing the walking paths around the park itself, meaning the pouring of the concrete. The play equipment, as everyone has seen, has been installed. The splash equipment, where the spray area is going to be, that will be coming in soon, and that will be installed and set up in the next few weeks. The trees, as we know, some of the trees have been planted, some have not. I've already gone out and I've tagged the trees that should be replaced, and that does happen with some projects. Not necessarily uncommon. The contractor will be responsible for replacing all of the trees that are dead. We do give in the contract a growing season. It's not unreasonable to plant them in, even if there's been some that don't necessarily look in the best shape, but I have them marked up, and the contractor will be responsible to replace any that are dead, and that's standard in all of our park projects. But I don't, to add to what Mr. O'Donnell stated, further, the contractor is responsible to, as under the contract, to have rodent control in place. We did have it in place originally in the beginning, if I may, we did have it in place in the beginning. And when they were doing the digging for some of the foundations and so on. They are not there now, and what I will do is I will contact the contractor and have him put out the bait boxes once again to help, to try to help with this problem. Also, there's a water source there. I totally understand that. There's also, at the other side of the park, a potential food source, which is the community gardens. We're gonna go into the fall season, and whatever is there, probably be compost and so on. I'm gonna look into seeing what we can do to put some traps up there as well to help control that in the upper part as well. So we're definitely going to do the best we can to mitigate that. Likewise, for trash receptacles and things like that, to put a more careful eye on replacing or removing trash from the site on a regular basis. So those are certainly measures that we will do. And the contractor, as I said, there's things that the contractor will be responsible to do. And I think also, to echo what Mr. O'Donnell said, we're going to do even more to try to mitigate, to try to lessen the issue of rodents and mice in the adjacent properties.
That's great. And one thing, if I may as well, you heard at least one individual here has incurred out-of-pocket expenses with this. And it sounds like, if I get what you're saying, there at this time, there's nothing in the area that the contractors put there to abate the rodent problem. Is that?
That's correct.
So these folks that have paid money out of their pocket, that's another thing we should be talking to the contractor about, because they haven't done what they're supposed to do. That's caused the problem to go into these people's homes, and people are reaching into their pockets to pay some bills. So when you speak with a contractor, if you could please bring that to their attention as well.
I certainly will, and also we'll touch base internally as well with legal and so on.
Great. Thank you very much. Councilor Napolitano?
Thank you. What provisions were made in the contract for any type of vermin control? What is it that they're responsible to do? I mean, I know what we require when a bigger project goes in. I've watched what went in on Waters Ave, Batchyard, in the old Charleston, Chu building development there. But what provisions are they required to do?
I will get you the exact provisions off the top of my head. I just couldn't pinpoint the section. But
Okay.
There are to be no different than my other park projects too. I had an issue over at Meadows, Kieran's behind St. Anthony's, and similar provision where they're required to put some rodent control measures. I don't want to be vague.
No, that's my concerns though, because,
It's vague.
past projects I've seen in developments outside of these are the city projects
Right.
have involved in some type of assessment prior to the project to determine what the degree of vermin control already exists. When the job is being done, baited traps all over until the job is completed, which case they're removed, and then there's a follow-up evaluation. If anybody needs to have some type of extermination, then they're required to go in and take care of that. I've got strong concerns that as we continue to branch out, I'm concerned about the meadow, about what's occurring down the Florence Street. I'm very concerned what's going on Florence Street. I grew up in that neighborhood, I played in that park, I've been there all my life. But I'm concerned that this project, if we're not maintaining this type of degree of control over this issue there, we could potentially have the same problem at the Meadow or any other future project sites. And I really would like to make sure that any language that goes out on these contracts going forward have these safeguards to protect these neighborhoods. It's hard enough today where the city is putting an emphasis on people to keep their properties up, to have to spend money on areas that need to be conditioned, but then they have to pay additional money on areas that you're not expecting to have to deal with like this. I know from talking to the neighbors, there is more than one person in this who has hired an exterminator to try to rectify this situation. We've got to do better for our residents.
Absolutely, and certainly with the other park projects and other projects, public projects moving forward. And I'm talking about park projects, but also water main projects and things of that nature, to tighten or do another review of what that language is and what pre and post review, which is a great point that you just brought up. Also, private projects too. Through planning board, through site plan, we do require that rodent control measure be in place. However, in review of the ordinance here, the 2 ordinance here that you folks have been working on, which I think is very good and something that I'll be able to take too and use as a tool to incorporate in our approvals for private development projects as well. I think that, and I know it's going to be very helpful to us. This whole conversation, and credit to each of you here, because we've all talked about it, and to have the ordinance going forward, I think it's going to be helpful with everything else going forward. In the meantime, we are going to do a better job on trying to reduce the amount of, or to improve on rodent control, I should say, hopefully to reduce the amount of mice, rats, and so on.
What can the neighborhood expect going forward at this point regarding this particular issue?
Sure, great question. So, in terms of the traps, I will have the contractor put out traps around the site there. We'll also take a look at the community gardens at the other end. Again, thinking about food sources along the entire park itself, and we will have someone review the upper part and throughout to take a look at additional traps that would be needed there. The question of the issue of claims and so on, I will certainly go back and review the contract, put the contractor on notice of that, and also follow up with Mr. O'Donnell and legal team as well. So those are 3 things that tomorrow we can start working on.
We'll certainly step up control and enforcement within the parameters of the contract with whatever the language allows.
Great, thank you.
So they've already spent money for, certainly they should file it for their clerk's office, how should they proceed?
Let me find some information on that.
Excuse me, why can't you use this thing? We're like a dummy here, we don't hear nothing.
The microphone's on. Is your microphone on? You can't hear that? Oh. Okay. Well, I'm gonna try it again. Well, let me reiterate what he said in case the acoustics aren't well, where his back is facing you, maybe you can't hear him as well. The question that was asked is, what can the neighborhood expect going forward? And what's going to happen is this community development chief of staff for the mayor's office, they're going to speak with the contractor. They're going to have them put traps on site. They should have already been there. They were there at one point in time. Looks like for some reason they're not there. They're going to ensure that they put more on. Then they're going to look around the perimeter of the park to look where there might be additional food source areas for rats. You got the community gardens up top. They might have to put a bait station up there as well. And then there was a question about patrolling. They're going to contact the police department, make sure that the police do sweep the park area multiple times, because it is unacceptable to have people playing basketball 3, 4 in the morning. You need to go to sleep. And the last question that they were talking about were claims. People who have spent money out of pocket for exterminating, and they're trying to figure out what to do with that. So what I would say at this particular point in time is if you've spent any money on exterminating, hold on to your bills, and then we'll figure out exactly where it's going to go. I don't think the city should be responsible for it. It should be the contractor. But hold on to your bills, and we'll try to figure out a solution with that. Okay?
Can I say something? Now, I live at 60 Florence.
Why don't you come up to the microphone so everyone can hear you?
I think you can be fine right there. I live at 60 Florence Street.
Okay.
I got a ticket for having an extra bag of trash. When I drive by that park, there's so much garbage that the contractors leave there themselves. Why don't they clean it up? That's where most of this problem is. Because they leave it like a dump.
Okay.
I was there 20 years, I've never had a mouse, nothing. All of a sudden, I got mouse droppers on my tenants' counters, down my basement.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of gets sickening that you're paying all these taxes, you're paying all this stuff, and the contractors don't give two craps.
Yeah, that's not acceptable.
But then the residents have to get a ticket for having an extra bag of trash.
Yeah, that's not acceptable. And going forward too, please, if anything is happening, call one of the councilors. I'm the councilman from that area. Call me, call Councilor Napolitano, De La Sola. We are more than happy to listen to your concerns, because unless you let us know about it, we're not going to know about it. And the stuff that's being said here is absolutely unacceptable. I don't want anyone in this room to think that anyone sitting here thinks that this is no big deal. This is a very big deal.
My sidewalks cracked. When they did the sidewalks, my sidewalks broken, my stone wall broke, and pretty much nothing got done. So money had to come out of my pocket to fix my wall that the idiot contractor broke. The sidewalk's all cracked, and you call people, well, it's old. It ain't old.
Yeah, if it just happened, yeah.
5 years old, give me a break.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
no.
when I have to pay $1,200, $1,300 to have a wall patched up, that came out of my pocket.
Yeah,
So they didn't want
absolutely.
to hear about it.
Yeah, that's awful. But, yeah, no, thank you, thank you. Well, thank you for the comments. Anyone in the audience, any other issues, by all means, call. We do want to hear it.
When do they think the park is gonna be done?
You said 7 more weeks, correct, Tony?
Yes, several more weeks for the project to be done.
Several, like 2 months, several?
Well, several more weeks, hopefully the end of August, so that's, but, yeah, yeah. It seems like a tall order to me, but, you know.
Probably about 4 to 5 more weeks on the project.
4 to 5 more weeks? Okay.
Yes,
All right.
they are working right now. They were out there last week and this week.
Is it gonna look any better than it does in 4 or 5 more weeks?
Oh, it better, you know, this is a topic.
It looks like you're at an amusement park.
Yeah, believe me, this is a topic that this council has talked about on numerous occasions. From the very beginning, putting up a barrier around the exterior of the fence because dirt was flying into neighbors' yards. So we've been on it. The project, the problem is happening here is this project's dragging on, and it's causing problem after problem after problem. It's got to get completed.
And they didn't run out of money, correct?
That's what we're told. It was not a money issue.
No, it's not a money issue. As I stated earlier, we did run into some issues with when you go to set up the water main, they had to change the focus, so that delayed. And then there was electrical issues where they needed a stronger feed.
It only came down like 1 or 2 days during 5 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
5 days.
Yeah.
Yard.
Yeah, no, there were stretches of time. There were stretches of time.
There's a big hole in there.
Yeah,
Why is there?
yeah,
That's a resident.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't work. They come into work 2 hours, 3 hours, and they go for the day.
Yeah, and those are all topics we're gonna have to talk to the contractor about. Yeah, all right. So, and I think the last point we had were claims. People just hold on to your receipts for now for anything you've spent.
Is the only contractor that is doing the park?
GTA is the contractor, and he has 2 or 3 subs that are doing some of the other work, so this,
I understand he's going to start a second hole in the two yard.
no, they're not using his equipment.
He's going to work on the second hole in
just to answer that question, Sacramone Park has not gone out to bid yet. That will go out this fall. We also have three other parks that are currently under construction. Day Park, Meadows Park behind St. Anthony's, and also we're installing swings at Glendale Park. Those are all different contractors. And this fall, we're going to put out Sacramone Park out to bid, and it's competitive bid, so
Okay.
we'll see.
Thank you for coming. Mr. Souza, thank you. Councilor Delasola, did you have something you wanted to add?
I just want to continue on Councilor Napolitano's comments. I agree 100% with everything that's going on here. It is crazy. What I do want to see is, like Councilor Napolitano mentioned earlier, when this project is done, hopefully first week of September, if ISD could follow up, walk up and down Edith Street and all this stuff, Florence Street, and just see if the residents, if the rodents are gone, and make sure they're happy with, because once the project is done, I don't want anybody just to disappear thinking everybody's happy. The rodents are still going to be there. A month, 2 months afterwards, then, like we said, the winter comes, they might have found a nice home there where they are now, and don't want to go back on the cold. So I want ISD to go up down there for at least a month or so and just make sure the residents, the rodents are gone, everybody's happy, and hopefully this park looks nice. It's worth the wait.
No, absolutely. And ISD will absolutely be accessible at the completion of the project, just to make sure that all these issues are abated. And, because we also need to know, feedback, not just from the citizens, but from ISD of how we can best, keep the problem at bay or eliminate it altogether. And we would certainly work in conjunction to see that that happens.
Can we have somebody, I don't know if it be ISD or go down there the next 3 or 4 weeks while the work is going on, and just, if it's 3 times a week, whatever it is, just walk through and make sure the baits are there, the trash is being picked up, and the workers are there.
Oh, yes, that'll all be part of the enforcement process for the contract, yes.
Okay, one more question. Is there a fence gonna go, a new fence all the way around where the new playground is being built now? Only I'm asking is because the fence in between the resident's house and the park, is that gonna be replaced? So they know this may happen?
Help me out. Are we talking about the property owners, the 3 or 4 properties?
Yes, we are looking at the park from the
From
street
Chelsea?
itself, from Chelsea Street.
On the right-hand side?
Is that, I just don't
Right.
want people to be shocked all of a sudden they come home and they see the fence being taken down and replaced.
No, so that fence was replaced.
It was.
What will be added on there is a screen of some sort to, I'm trying to think of the right word exactly, but
So no one's looking into your
a screening of some
property?
sort to kind of help.
Privacy screen.
Gives a privacy screen, thank you. Goodness. So the fencing was put up early this spring. It's new black fencing that was put. There will also be new fencing around the front, and also on the front, meaning Chelsea, and also on the side where Florence Street is as well. Likewise, there will be we'll be working on the designs for the phase 2, which is a different scope of work, but in that particular scope of work, we will capture the ADA ramp that's sort of in the middle of the playground area, and do improvements to that, and also around the entire perimeter of the park itself.
You say phase 2, you're talking about where the field is?
The ball field area, yes.
That may be kind of a hard issue at that point, because these poor residents now are going through this now on the playground. Now you want to go up the ramp and redo the baseball field over in the hill and all
certainly.
that. I know we want to improve everything, but, we're going to go back to square one again.
I am.
Left
So,
that
I am
very
happy
short
to,
leash on that one, yeah.
I am
Right,
happy to
right.
Very short leash, yeah.
to talk about that.
like we said earlier,
down
if
the
we
road.
could touch things up on the baseball field, that's fine, but dig into the hill and all that, you're going to be back to square one again.
Yeah.
But one more question.
Sure.
On the trees itself, you were saying we're going to keep an eye on it, well, after you plant them. Next year's going to be the test, when the
Yes.
spring comes, and we'll see which ones are alive and dead.
Right.
And the contractor is responsible to replace those?
That's correct. The contractor is responsible to replace those. I'll give you an example, even a different park project, different contractor, put in trees over at Day Park. And also, same thing as I said before, I tag the trees, or in my office, we tag the trees that need to be replaced. Not only the trees, but also shrubs and so on. And there's 2 trees and about 3 or so shrubs that will have to be replaced. Some of them have been removed because I don't like to do a park opening with trees or shrubs that
They park
aren't
them
in
up
great
beautiful.
shape.
They park them up real nice.
That different contractor, and that one was a great project there. And just for public benefit, we'll be opening up soon. We're just doing some final touches for safety reasons with respect to fencing in certain areas. But that is, I am excited for that project as well, so.
On the other part of the park, when we plan on doing the field, I'd like to have I know we do anyways, a public hearing so all the residents can come up.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Knowing this thing, I don't want them driving machines into the field and all of a sudden they find out we're doing the other phase 2.
Absolutely, Counselor and Counselors, I've heard it very clear as well. So we'll certainly do a robust public input meeting. Would love to do something similar to this fashion as well. And we can talk about the scope of work and so
All
on.
right.
Happy to do that.
Thank you.
Well, with respect to Phase 2, I'm very confident that with what we've learned from Phase 1 in conjunction with the ordinances and the language that we would have to come up, I think these issues would be minimized, if not, completely abated. Just knowing, learning what we've learned from this point on, we know what needs to be done to really, attack these issues in their infancy. So I don't foresee the same type of issues in any project going forward. It's we learn from the past, and that's how we're going to address things going forward. So it's certainly, the concerns would be absolutely minimized for not only Phase 2 of this park, but for any big construction project or any construction project for that matter going forward.
Councilors, anything
What
else?
I'd like to do is, if both councils want to put this on the calendar, I know we can't talk about it now.
Yeah, we can put something on there.
In 3
that-
weeks,
Yeah.
and see where we are at that point with
Sure.
this park. Hopefully, we have a ribbon cutting.
Yeah, I hope
Before what's going on there?
here's an invitation, so absolutely, so.
Thank you.
Anything else, gentlemen? Good? Do you have anything to add, gentlemen? I appreciate everything.
I want to thank the neighborhood for coming up.
Absolutely.
I got into politics, 'cause I got fed up of feeling that my voice wasn't being heard. So I understand, I understand to some degree where you're coming from. But your voices have been heard. I'm glad you made the time and the effort to come up here. We agree, the situation you're enduring is unacceptable. We're going to work on this. And this was the whole purpose of having you come up here, to be able to emphasize the degree of this problem. Your efforts come up here was not wasted. So I just sincerely hope that's the case. If you have any issues on this going forward, please feel free to give me a call. I've lived in this ward for 59 years. Both myself and Councilman Capone are from Ward 1. Actually, ironically, almost 40% of the city council originates from Ward 1. So we understand what goes on in our ward, why we're the industrial ward with the biggest tax base, seem to get sometimes feels like we get the least services. But if you have any issues as this continues, please give me a call, give us a call. It's the only way we're going to be able to act on it, So again, I appreciate you coming up here and taking the time.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Everybody in the audience, thank you so much for coming up here.
Thank you,
And
folks.
any concerns or issues, do not hesitate. Contact one of us. We'll make sure we jump on top of it, okay? So thank you very much for coming up here this evening.